G'day folks and welcome to the channel. My name's Matt and today we're going to be talking about story hooks and what makes them compelling to the party. And to give examples of that, I'm going to be sharing some of the story hooks found in the Swamp of Souls, which is an adventure I'm illustrating and writing. And if you want to check out more of that, click the first link in the description below. While I chat away, I'm going to be sharing art processes and some animations to try keep things interesting for you. And at the end of this video, I'm also going to shout out a couple of YouTube channels I follow and enjoy that you might enjoy. So stick around to the end there and check those out as well. So what is a story hook? Basically, it's a way to give the players a reason that their characters are invested in the adventure. So you want to tailor it to the character and make sure that there's enough in there that the player's character will say, yes, this is something my character would do and be into. And what makes that story hook compelling is basically two things. First, the games master makes clear motivators that the party can latch onto. And secondly, the party make characters that are hookable, which is very important. So the Dungeon Master needs to work with the players to make sure they've created characters that are not too comfortable. So for example, if the player creates a character that's a self-entitled noble that already has lots of money and says things like, my character wouldn't help these people and not for that amount of coin, then the Dungeon Master needs to sit down and say, hey, maybe we stick this player back in his comfortable castle and he can just relax there and you make me a character ready for adventure. Or even better yet, you work with the player to turn this noble into someone hungry for adventure. Say for example, his family is framed for treason and the king takes away all their wealth and suddenly the player is destitute and his father is imprisoned by the king and his mother marries another noble, the one who maybe betrayed them. And all of a sudden, this self-centered noble suddenly needs coin. He needs to find allies to help him. He needs to get out of town so he's not arrested like his father was. And he needs to learn new skills. Suddenly, he's got reasons to adventure and get out there. So once you've got your party making motivated characters, it's time to give them some broad motivators. These can be just for initial buy-in and don't have to be the big hooks. It's really to get them on the path to adventure. And as the story unfolds, more hooks will be dropped in, stronger reasons for them to carry on with the adventure. They might get attached to NPCs, or they might hear more about treasure that's found deeper in the dungeons, or they must realize it's time to make a stand and fight against the greater evil. But to start off with, they can just be broad motivators, and there's basically two types for that. The first one is common greed, where maybe they're just paid to do a job, or they hear of a lost treasure, or they figure out a way that will make them more powerful, sort of maybe leveling up or gaining a powerful artifact. Greed is a good foot into the door. It's like those good books or movies where the hero starts out being greedy and selfish and just wanting to make a buck. But as he gets invested in the story and cares more about the people around him, he changes and becomes the hero he was meant to be. And that brings us to the other motivator, which is doing good, such as standing up for the weak, or rescuing a kidnapped person, or doing heroic deeds. Even seeking glory in its own way is a good thing. And then what you want to do is layer in personal hooks on top of that, one for each character, so the characters feel like they have their own reason for being there that they may or may not share with the rest of the party. And this helps create backstories and interactions. So work with each player and start to outline other little personal hooks. They might be revenge, or their own little quest for a certain magic item, or they're looking for a lost one that's gone missing. Things like that. It should be quite easy to find a little personal hook. Just be careful that the personal hook doesn't end too soon and the character thinks, well, I've achieved what I wanted to achieve, I'm going to go now. A good character will say, well, I've achieved what I want to achieve, and they'll look for another hook, usually helping out their new party members or finding a new reason to carry on with the adventure. Now, there's basically two ways to introduce a story hook, and it depends on the kind of campaign you're running. The first way is a soft sell, where you're in an open world campaign and you don't want to ram the adventure down the player's throat. It's more the players discover these adventures either through their own persuasion or investigation, and uncover story hooks. For example, you might be sitting in a tavern, taking in the area. There could be a group of adventurers over one side of the tavern and a sort of prospecting type sitting at the tavern, taking shots and trembling slightly. That might be enough for a player to wander over and find out what's going on, and if they dig a little deeper, the prospector might tell them of a village they visited that was paying good money to find trapped souls, and he journeyed into this swamp and tried to do it, but the swamp is this evil, horrible place, and he's never going back there. It's better to just mine gold and stay away from the evil and corruption that he found in this place. And with a trembling hand and taking another shot, he'll just mutter, "I'm never going back. I'm never going back." And the party start to think, maybe we should look into this. And that's enough. It gets them heading in a direction, starting to ask questions once they get to the fishing village, and from there the adventure unfolds. And if the party ignores this story hook, that's fine. You can introduce it at another point. They might go talk to this other group of adventurers and find out that they're travelling to this fishing village because they've heard that this fishing village is paying good coin for adventurers. And that's all they know at this point, but they're going to turn up there. And if your party ignores all of that, that's fine as well. You're in an open world campaign. They're travelling around trying to find story hooks. They might find it down the track in a different NPC. You just hold on to these things, and the party can feel like they're deciding, hey, we're going to talk to this guy, this is unfolded, let's explore it more. The other way of selling a story hook is the hard sell, where they're just put on the adventure path, and this is usually for more self-contained adventures where you just want to get the party started. And to do this, the prospector might approach the party and just say, I need people to guard me while I collect these souls. I'm willing to pay good money and a cut of the profits. You guys look like hardened adventurers. Will you protect me as I journey into the swamp? That should be enough to get them going. There's agreed good money, and there'll be talk of the evil swamp and the trapped souls, so the do-gooders will also feel like, yes, I should be going out there and doing good. Now, these initial story hooks are just to get them started, to get them on the adventure track. And as they get deeper and deeper into the adventure, there should be more hooks grabbing hold of them as they get attached to NPCs, as they realize the enormity of the task in front of them, that it's not just about, say, collecting souls and bringing them back for a profit, but there's something evil out there trapping these souls. And the heron folk are almost being overwhelmed, and in time, it won't be enough just to profit from this thing. You've got to figure out how to stop it, to help these people that hopefully as the party progresses they'll become attached to and want to help. For your own campaign, it might be because of the party's interference they've made an enemy, and this enemy has started to turn their eye on them, and the party will now have to deal with this enemy, or it's going to be an ongoing thing. So there's another story hook, taking out something that threatens them. Or they might have heard rumours of discovered treasures that take them deeper into your own adventures. There could be promises of power. There could be NPCs they've been attached to are suddenly kidnapped and gone missing. So the party feels they have to go further. They have to help these people. So like a good page turner, you should start out with broad story hooks, and at each step of the way, there's something that draws them in deeper, gets them more and more invested in the adventure. So for examples of this, let's look at 3 possible story hooks in the Swamp of Souls. The first one we're going to look at is the Soul Prospector. And as mentioned, the party hears rumours of a fishing village that's paying good coin to rescue trapped souls within an evil, corrupted swamp. That might be all they need to hear, this sort of rumour. There's going to be lots of questions, of course. What is a trapped soul? How do they rescue them? Why is the fishing village paying so well? And check it out, episode 3 of this channel, to find out more information about that. And so hopefully that could be enough. The promise of riches, the promise of adventure, the promise of exploring a whole new land where there seems to be this ancient corrupted power that could be grasped by the more power hungry of the group. All sorts of little personal story hooks could come from that. Friends of the party have disappeared into the swamp, all seeking their own fortune. The corruption has spread enough that villages are getting raided, and the king has brought people in to investigate. And what the party will do is find themselves at a sort of the forefront of a fantasy gold rush where other adventuring parties might be arriving and all heading out there hoping to make the big score, the big fortune, finding the powerful souls that are trapped in the swamp that the heron folk are paying very well for. And that could create all sorts of dynamics where they're competing with other adventurers, even more aggressive, maybe deadly adventurers, all sorts of encounters as people try bring these souls back to the heron folk. There could be parties that just wait for other prospectors to bring these back. And this is what I talked about in episode 1, where I wanted an adventure that would push the risk and reward factor. The party can push and try get these powerful souls. The more powerful souls found deeper in the swamp, how far do they go? How greedy do they get before they have to turn back and take what they've gathered back to the heron folk for their reward? And do they push far enough that they know that there's other parties out there willing to turn on them, stab them in the back to take the souls off them and take them back to the heron folk for their own rewards? It'll become quite a cutthroat enterprise where they're looking over their shoulder and also wondering, how far do we go? And I like that idea of the party deciding how much risk do we take. Another hook will be that a raiding lizardman party has hit a village and taken a heap of prisoners from that village, and the lord of the land will gather a party to investigate and try bring back these prisoners. He doesn't want to risk sending his own army into this treacherous swamp where ambushes wait at every turn, so he wants to send the party first. They can follow the trail of this prisoner caravan and try return the prisoners or find out why these lizard men have taken them. And of course, these lizard men have taken them for their souls, and they'll be taking them to someone very mysterious, very dark, that we haven't introduced into this adventure yet, who is harvesting these souls. And that will open up this entire quest line as well. And the party will realise they need to find allies like the heron folk, or maybe the ghost elves that lurk in the forest. And the third of the many hooks we're going to have for this adventure is finding a lost adventuring party. Now this might be a powerful adventuring party with various magic items that they've taken with us. So the party will have a few reasons to follow them. One of honour, maybe they've grown close to this other adventuring party, and one of greed, where they think, hey, if we find the bodies, the items on them are technically ours and we're finders keepers. And finding out what happened to this lost party could take them through all sorts of avenues in the swamp where they meet all sorts of people. Say they find the Druid's Grove and talk to the Druid who had seen this party, and then they'll learn more about the other adventures possible in the swamp. There could be a great mystery of what happened to this party. The GM's going to have a number of options. Maybe the party ran into the Hungering Dark, and if you saw the brief adventures of Dern and Twigby, you'll know what happened to them. But maybe the party that got lost is still out there fighting the good fight. Maybe the Druid Grove is a base for them, and they're helping this Druid reclaim the swamp, and they're looking for reinforcements. So the adventurers arrive and are recruited to help the greater good, this bigger adventure. So that was 3 possible story hooks, all with a broad start that can be drilled in, especially with the story arcs we've got going on in the swamp, where there's lots of hooks and individual story arcs where a good player can say, I'm going to attach myself to this, I like this guy, I'm going to help him out, or this really interests my player and I'm going to push further to achieve this goal. So did I hook you? Do you want to get your hands on this adventure? If you do, click on the first link below and you'll get notified when it's out and released. And if you want to do a good deed instead, click on that notification anyway, and that might help some sort of weird Kickstarter algorithm. I'm not sure how it works, but maybe it'll make it more popular. So go do that. Now for my good deed, I'm going to shout out a couple of channels from Kiwi creators that I'm really enjoying, and I think you should check it out and see what they're up to. Now the first channel I'm going to shout out is called Of Horrors and Heroes, and it's where GM Chance takes his party of adventurers through a grim and gritty world using the Rolemaster role-playing system, which is a very intriguing old school system with brutal combat and charts for everything, it seems. It's set in a fully fleshed out world that requires cunning and ruthlessness to survive in. He's also got some very cool shorter videos explaining this Rolemaster system. So check that out. I'm going to put the link in the description below, or just look up Of Horrors and Heroes. And the other channel I'm really enjoying is a world building channel called The Song of O. It incorporates fantasy, sci-fi and cosmic horror and couples this with artistic mediums like sculpture, film, traditional painting and drawing, to digital art, motion comics and literature. And he also does his own music too. So check out his channel and you will discover unique bestiaries, entirely new races and complex socio-cultural relationships, engaging magic systems, narratives and original scores. This guy's really drilling into his world building world and going into great detail on how races work and how they work together. Very interesting stuff. I suggest you check it out. The Song of O. Again, the link will be in the description below. So check out those channels, and if it's your cup of tea, give them a subscribe. It really helps encourage content creators. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up this episode. If you've got your own approaches to story hooks, please share them in the comments below. You might help someone out. And thank you again for listening. Really appreciate you going right to the end here with me, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Okay, bye.